It was a barnstormer earlier on, and I'm joined once again, as I was earlier on today, by Jared McLean. Jared, this should be a ripper.
It is going to be absolutely stunning. If race one was anything to go by, it's only going to go up a notch. The track temp, of course, cooling off. These things, arguably some of the lightest weight machines that we have here this weekend, and unless you really commit, it's going to be tough to pump that temperature into that tyre. As they make their way down to their starting positions, we are about to see some of the most hard-fought racing that we've ever seen. I was just noticing an empty grid spot for Spark in the number 47 should be taking position just to the right-hand side of Macdonald in the number 51. We can see it there. That is where Spark is supposed to be. Unfortunately, not able to make it out. Is that potentially? I can see there's a few empty spots further down towards the rear of grid, so hopefully we get some more information on that one as it comes to hand. But in any case, we are getting set for a race start.
It's going to make things a bit easier for Macdonald at the start of this one. Stole it at the death earlier on and makes a good launch away. Look for on the second row between Kinsella and Reynolds. Those two were at the front for the majority of the race. However, when push came to shove, they were not at the front of the field. They'll be looking to rectify things here this evening as they head down to the turn 2 hairpin for the very first time. Side by side, Kinsella goes around the outside and he's followed through by Reynolds. They're later on the brakes and already find themselves at the front or spin a little bit further back. I think that might have been Pim, in the number 86 machine. We'll, I'm sure, have a look again in a couple of moments' time. There's a couple of orange and red-looking machines that look pretty similar, so not entirely sure which one that was there. We just caught the end of it.
Here we go, close proximity as we run through the mid-pack, but looking up the front, Kinsella from Reynolds with Macdonald's rounding out your top three. A slightly depleted field, only 14 cars on the track. As a big lock-up on the way in. And that was our pole sitter originally, or our P1 starter, Macdonald, falling back a place or two.
Yeah, that was a mistake. He wasn't the only one to lock up down there. There were many lockups behind him as well. And everyone's been saying, we just heard it, didn't we, from the replica tourer guys. Track conditions this evening are far from ideal. It's certainly tricky out there, and we've seen it catch out the best in the business. And he was just the latest victim there. I said I thought it was Pim that spun around at the first corner, or second corner. Doesn't appear to be. He is in position number 2, so not entirely sure who that was spinning around at the second corner, but whoever it is, they've made a good recovery and are just off the tail of the field.
Quickest driver out there so far, Kinsella, as Reynolds looks to put a move down on our race leader. Big look over to the left there. Kinsella on Reynolds, the run down into turn 1. Reynolds covers off the inside line. Can he hold that tight? Or will Kinsella look to try and open it up on the run out into turn 2? Reynolds still on that inside track. Big lock up from the inside rear there. Looked like he wasn't quite going to be able to get the car rotated.
Did so, and as a result is able to retain the race lead. Are these two going to work together, Jared, do you think, or are they?
Absolutely not. No way.
You've seen Formula V racing before.
I got to say, it was a frenetic pace when we saw them come out for race 1, and it does look to have dipped off a little bit here as we get into our first hot lap. Going purple is Macdonald, currently circulating in 3rd.
What you do see in Formula V, occasionally when they do work together, they can work together to pull away from those chasing behind. However, Macdonald and Port will be keen to not allow that to happen. Those two probably will stay in line. They don't want to cost each other time, and just as I say about costing time, Macdonald there sliding through Corporate Hill and lost a little bit of ground to those two ahead.
You can actually start to see the moisture out there on track. We've now dipped below the dew point, and we're starting to see that water transition out of being a gas and start becoming a liquid. And you go and have a look at any of the windscreens out there in the pits. They are slick with moisture.
These won't have problem with windscreens being moist, but they could have problems with their visor. They'll be frantically in a straight line, potentially just cleaning off their visor with their gloves as they blast down pit straight. Formula V named with the V because they have a Volkswagen engine. The Beetle engine has been put in the back of these machines. That's why they hum along, buzz along, you could say, in a straight line. They might have a small little power plant, but it's good racing.
Bit of action, not only for first, but also for third. Kinsella looked to challenge on Reynolds. Porter also on Macdonald on the run through turn 2. Through 3 they come now. We focus on the battle for third and fourth.
Down the hill they go over the other side. The hill there, that's made up because that's where the tunnel goes underneath the track. When you enter the circuit, you enter from around about here, turn number 5, you drive underneath the, or through the tunnel underneath the racetrack to get to the infield. Quite a unique characteristic of the Sydney Motorsport Park venue.
It has been an absolute eye-opener here today, and we look forward to tomorrow's program of racing. We carry on again into the night. First time checking out racing under lights here, or at least circuit racing under lights. I've done plenty of the straight line stuff and plenty of the really sideways stuff, but this is the first circuit racing event that I've ever seen.
It's been a cracker for you to experience as a first timer. It's been great racing all day long, hasn't it? All through the night, no matter what category it's been, we can't say we've not been entertained.
Oh, absolutely. I got to say, I was very, very impressed by Formula V. It's the first time I've seen such a fantastic field on a national sort of level, and very, very impressive as we look back to the battle for 7th and 8th between Stott and Harriet, and going very wide and costing him dearly, losing 3 positions there. That was the 56 of Stott, coming out of 7th place, dropping back into 10th.
That was almost a carbon copy of the Lachlan Everett mistake in Formula Ford on the final lap of the race. Just running wide. Speaking of running wide, a lock up there for Kinsella. Has it opened the door for Reynolds? No, not quite. But yeah, going back to that mistake at the final corner, with these open wheelers, we saw it in Formula Ford, we're seeing it in Formula V. If you run a little bit wide there, you get on the wrong side of that sort of lip over the top of the concrete. You can't get back over. In a TA2 car, even a Legend car, they could just hop 2 wheels back over the inside and get back onto the race circuit. You can't do that in Vs. You get beached and you find yourself just following that line out towards the grass, and it costs you very, very dearly.
It was quite astonishing actually to see Lachlan Everett limp that Formula Ford in with a broken tie rod end to his trophy present, or to his post-race interview. And still, massive smile. Just looked like it had broken a mounting tab on the side of the body. But back to the race at hand. Kinsella has a handy almost 4/10 of a second lead over the challenging Reynolds. Porter and Macdonald, 3rd and 4th, with Butcher rounding out your top 5. Butcher some 7.8 seconds back.
He's been around for many, many years, has Butcher is up the inside. The recovering number 71 of Ogden. That was the car, I think, that spun at the start of the race. So he is now back up into the top 8, so in the top half of the field. Porter, he's really trying to close in on this lap on the top 2. PB, sorry, not even PB, purple in sector 1, purple in sector number 2, and purple in sector number 3 as well. So the margin is around about a second, a smidge over a second. He is keen to catch them. However, he's dragging Macdonald with him, and Macdonald has overtaken him before turn number 1.
Battle still raging with Kinsella and Reynolds, Dan.
Yeah, absolutely at the front of the field. But what I was going to say is Porter did all the donkey work, all the hard work, and Macdonald just uses it and slipstreams him through on pit straight.
Well, thank you. I'll take that one.
Further back, though, there we go. The Ogden machine has got through on Pimu, locks up a lot down there in towards turn number 2. Sorry, actually, that's the Fremantle machine. The number 44, the navy blue car that locked up badly there. Look at Macdonald using all the road there on the outside of the turn. These front 2 just seem to have a little bit of a buffer in this race, which they were not able to establish in the race earlier on today.
Yeah, I got to say that lock up there from Fremantle, the biggest one that I have seen in Formula V today so far. I'm sure there's still plenty of opportunity. 6.5 minutes left on our Ringers Western race counter.
It's got a ring to it, doesn't it?
Sounds good to me.
That's what all our attire is. The Ringers Western supporting us with our uniforms and attire here at the Hi-Tech Oils Super Series this year. Great to have them a part of the series. So many sponsors, of course. Hi-Tech Oils have been the name right sponsor now for a couple of years. And great to have them a part of the series overall. But here we are on pit straight, nose to tail. Reynolds from Kinsella. Reynolds goes defensive. That's the first time we've seen a defensive move from these two. But Kinsella goes, no problem. You can go defensive if you want to. I'll just go around the outside.
Yeah, Kinsella carrying almost 8 kilometres an hour over the top of Reynolds there. Just under 180. The fastest that we have seen any driver in this session of racing go down into turn 1. Reynolds not giving up. He's parked that nose cone right underneath the gearbox. It's amazing how close they can follow at times without actually contacting Dan.
Macdonald, fastest lap of the race last time by, and he's there now. He's knocking on the door. Hello, chaps. Good to see you. I'm in the fight now. So it's now a three-way fight, and he is going to be quickly joined by Porter as well. So it's very much as we saw in race number 1, albeit without Spark, of course, who is a sad DNS for this one. Didn't even take the start of the race. But the other 4, the quartet that are out there, were the others that were fighting for the top 5 finish.
Reynolds getting that car pitched into the kink very, very early. Looks to open up the entry and try and run the inside line to try and find some avenue to get up the inside of Kinsella. Will have to be content with dropping in behind the number 35 machine for now, who's gone green in sector 1. Nothing really too fantastic in sector 2. But Reynolds just harassing him.
It's interesting, isn't it, how there seem to be strong some laps in certain areas and others on other laps. It all depends where they are, and a great run out the final corner for Reynolds. Wow, that was easy.
Is it actually going to mean anything, though? Because Kinsella has dropped back into the toe and is going to challenge, arguably, at the exit of turn 1, the entry into turn 1. Here it is. Again, that high-speed game of chess coming into play there. Reynolds under fire as Macdonald looks to throw a speculator. Reynolds covers off the inside. Macdonald almost goes backwards 2 positions.
Nearly put your head in your hands there. You can't watch. That was pretty tight through turn 2. The intensity has been turned to the max now. They're going for moves in all different places, including down here at turn number 4. We haven't seen a move down there all day long until right here, right now. Reynolds moves back to the front. So Reynolds from Kinsella, Macdonald from Porter. It's as they were this time last lap, but boy, oh boy, has there been some changes since then.
Next time across the finish line, we will see the last lap board as we go 5 seconds on the clock as they wind their way through this well-lit Sydney Motorsport Park circuit.
Where do you want to be coming onto pit straight is the question.
Second place.
Or
off the inside.
I'd potentially say if third place is close enough, that's where I'd want to be. Depends if Macdonald can be close enough out the final corner and how much of a slingshot he will get. And that's it. You've got to keep, unlike chess, it's always constantly changing. So, yeah, when things are happening as they are on the circuit live, you have to reassess your options. You might think I can try that. However, if something else happens, your ideas can change.
Covering off all avenues, Reynolds looks to defend the run down into the finish line, and Kinsella goes for it, but won't be able to make it work. 2/100ths of a second is the margin of victory for Reynolds over Kinsella.
Wow, how tight is that? Very, very tight indeed in the end. The former series president, Butcher, comes across the line in position number 5. A very lonely race for him. Miles ahead of Ogden behind, but miles behind the race leaders. A lonely affair for him, but a top 5 finish. He'll be pretty pleased with that.
Absolutely, but I have to say a marvellous defence being put on display there by Reynolds. 2/100ths of a second. Absolutely wild.
Certainly was. That's really, really cool to see. He brings it into the paddock at the back of the circuit. That's one of the other entry points, so that's in at turn 4 on the little short shoot there. But there are the results in that one. Reynolds taking it from Kinsella, Macdonald and Porter. The margins in the end don't really show just how tight things were in that one. Butcherell only 5th ahead of Corey Ogden. Great recovery from him after facing backwards at turn 2. William Pym, Morgan Fremantle, Matthew Harriott, Xavier Baggage, Hock, who was a retirement from the race earlier on today, so good result to finish inside the top 10.
Yeah, fantastic race there. Arguably not as contested as race 1, but still some fantastic racecraft out there on display for our Formula V competitors here at round 2 for the Hi-Tech Oil Super Series, race 2 for that category. Let's check out some of the race highlights here. A standing start, and it was a lonely front row.
Certainly was. Just one person on it, and that was Macdonald. But he was hounded straight away down towards turns 1 and 2. He did lock up and lose a couple of positions. Fell down to 4th at one stage there in the race. While those two fought for 3rd, the top 2 fought for the victory, hammer and tongs.
A couple of sparks out there as an unfortunate choice of line really made him commit to that off-track excursion. The battle raged all the way back through the pack, but this man out in front, David Reynolds, doing a brilliant job. Another massive lock-up from the 44 machine. That was Fremantle. Yeah, that's piling on some pressure to the brake pedal.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was just the one at first, but no, it was both wheels that significantly locked up into the hairpin. The fighting really did intensify late on in that race, and it quickly became a 4-car fight as a result.
Reynolds able to bring it home, but it wasn't for lack of trying from our top 4, trying to be the fly in the ointment. A great run to the finish, and a last-second lunge, seeing a gap of 0.02 of a second between Reynolds and Kinsella.
Absolutely, very, very tight in the end. The top 4 within 1.1 seconds. A fantastic battle royale in that one. And Mel's down there with our winners.
Alex Macdonald, race victory in the first race, P3 in that one. Just couldn't quite catch those guys.
No, yes, they were quick, and once you lose a draft, it takes a while to get back up. But I had to go on the last lap, turn 2, but yeah, just couldn't make it stick. So, yeah, good fun driving.
Well, some good points so far for the weekend. You're right up there.
Yeah, it's going well so far. So,
thank you. Okay, Michael, you guys having a chat away. Gee, that was pretty close, wasn't it? P2 in that one.
Yeah, great night race there, Formula V. Daniel, just me and him out the front. We got a bit of a gap at the start, and then just kind of swapped positions the whole race just to keep a gap, and then they just caught us at the end. So, but yeah, second's a good ending for the night. Yeah,
it was a pretty exciting last couple of laps between you guys. Well done.
Yeah, thank you. Cheers. Thanks.
Okay, and a race victory to end the night. What was it like out there racing with slippery, dark?
Yeah, definitely very slippery, very different conditions to 6 hours ago when we were last out. But yeah, luckily we had it pretty spot on for the car setup, and yeah, I think the result showed.
And you had your mirrors full the whole time?
Yeah, I mean, luckily I was kind of able to get into a rhythm, and me and Michael kind of worked together for the most part. But yeah, it certainly made it exciting.
Well done.
Thank you.
Oh, I tell you what, a fantastic way to finish out the Hi-Tech Oil Super Series Night 1 of racing. The Sydney Sundown Festival, of course. We've got one more day of racing to get underway. Our live stream kicks off at 1:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. Of course, we're back on SBS and Fox Sports from 5 p.m. here, Sydney time. Have a look at all the action. It's been fantastic tonight. Cold conditions. Let's see if we get the same tomorrow. There's lots going up and down the pit lane. We can't wait to bring you all the action again tomorrow from 1:30 p.m. on our live stream. Thanks for watching.